Thank you, everybody that is joining us tonight for the live feed with Michelle Forry, the PaSRBA General Chair. We're going to go ahead and get started here shortly, but I wanted to welcome everybody here initially. As people are joining, if you have questions, please feel free to add them into the comments. We'll wait one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. As more people are joining, we'll get started here very shortly. If you have questions tonight for PaSRBA, please add them in the comments below. All right, we'll kick things off. I'm super excited tonight. We have a guest, Michelle Forry. She is the PaSRBA State Convention General Chair. So she's in charge of the entire PaSRBA State Convention. As everybody is aware, PaSRBA is one of the largest shows in the country every single year. So thank you, Michelle, for joining us, and I look forward to having the discussion and getting everybody the information they need about the show.
Well, thank you for having me. You know, we are in full force. We are ready, and I love talking about all things PaSRBA. So I'm excited to chat with you here this evening.
That's great. Thank you. So PaSRBA is only a couple weeks away here at the beginning of February, and I know everybody's looking forward to coming to the show. So to kick things off, what is your favorite part of PaSRBA?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, for me, PaSRBA sort of kicks off really the ARBA show season, I feel like, in Pennsylvania. You know, there's some shows in the fall, but it really, you know, you sort of take a break for Christmas a little bit, you know, right around the holidays, and then things pick up. So it's just seeing all of the exhibitors and getting to, you know, having the privilege of putting the show on with, you know, the incredible team that we have, because we're basically a family. So it's a very stressful family reunion where we get to see some of our wonderful friends from all over.
Very cool. So can you give me an overview of the various activities that happen there?
Absolutely. So Friday, you know, we set up, but once we're done setting up, we go right into the youth contests. While other people are bringing their rabbits in and maybe, you know, finding their table and staging. I'm just really proud of the youth program that we have in PaSRBA. And so Friday evening, that's sort of the main focus. The kids are participating in a variety of contests. Saturday then is a double all-breed show. Saturday evening, we have the banquet, and then Sunday we have a single all-breed show, and then we have some specialty shows. Awesome.
So let's dive into that a little deeper. So thinking about the show, for some of the various breeds, how many times can they show their breed over the weekend?
So nearly every breed can show 4 times, and that's something that's been really important, not only to the show committee, but to the PaSRBA board as a whole. This year we did change it up a little bit. We were hearing some feedback from some specialty clubs, not, you know, it's hard to find volunteers. So we decided to do the double. This will be the first year for the double all breed show on Saturday. This makes sure that every single breed can show at least 3 times. And then Sunday, we're doing the single all breed with the different specialty shows. So there's really only a handful of rabbits that will not be able to compete 4 times. One of the reasons that we can get some of the rare breeds more into the mix is Mark's approached us with the idea of, helping us by running a rare breed specialty. So this will be not only the first PaSRBA ever where there's 3 all breed shows, but the first PaSRBA ever that we have a rare breed specialty, and we'll have a rare breed then best in show as well. So I'm really excited about those things. Every year after we have our event, we look and see, what we can do and how we can improve it. And this was something that we wanted to try this year. And the board was really supportive of it, liked the idea. So that's where we're moving forward.
Yeah, that's neat. And I think it is, PaSRBA is, being one of the largest shows in the country. I mean, it's a place that exhibitors from across the country and Canada want to come and exhibit their animals. So it's always a big show.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that you guys have been on the forefront of too has been with exhibitors entering. How do exhibitors enter this year?
So one of the things that we moved to last year was we went from PaSRBA was traditionally a day of show entry. We decided to move to pre-entry. It allows, as some of you run shows, so when you have pre-entries, you can plan a little bit better. We can actually adjust our room layout and even what spaces that we rent based on our entries and what those entries look like. So we did that for the first time last year, and we're doing it again this year. Our pre-entry deadlines is actually at 8 a.m. the Friday before. So 8 a.m. on February 3rd. So that is, for a pre-entry deadline, that's about as late as you're going to be able to get. And that's for the Saturday show. If you are just showing Sunday, you can actually enter until noon on that Saturday. So we have very generous deadlines because we know sometimes, people have to wait and, see, what's going on, or, waiting to see which rabbit might be in condition. So that's why we have those deadlines. We use Easy to Show, which allows you to go in and enter your own information. Our shows are on the Easy to Show platform, so you could enter today if you wanted to. And we know some people, still want to do, paper entries. So we do have the ability to do mail-in entries as well, and those must be postmarked by January 25th.
That is one of the things I think was, really neat looking through the catalog, is you guys having the ability to do it several different ways to be helpful to producers or to exhibitors. Sorry. One of the questions that's popped up here, and I'll select it, but also if anybody has questions that they want to ask Michelle, please add them to the comments, and we'll be including them throughout the interview. But one of the questions here was from Jessica, and it's, how do we enter the Sunday specialties to be able to enter those?
Yeah. So every specialty club sets their own parameters on how they enter. Mark's is doing Easy to Show as well. And I believe, hate to say this, but I believe those are actually on Easy to Show already. So, and they're following the same deadlines actually. So that noon on Saturday is actually their deadline. I'm sure Mark's Facebook page will have those links out very soon. So I would keep watching there, but I believe that Mark's is doing Easy to Show option only, and that's how they're doing their entries. It's sometimes hard to keep track of every specialty show and how they're doing it, but I remember reading that one, and they're Easy to Show.
And that's where I think that going to the convention catalog, which I'll make sure that is included in the description, is a great resource to be able to find out those types of things for your specific breed. But I know that several of them are on the Easy to Show platform as well.
Yes,
yeah,
and
the
Easy to Show
is super easy to use, and as an exhibitor and for shows running them.
And I know that it gets very busy because a lot of specialty clubs use it, so there's like a long list. So sometimes you got to go through a couple easy to show pages to find the show you're looking for. But if it's not there now, I'm sure that it's going to be up there pretty directly.
Okay. You covered when they have to enter. So there's 2 all-breed shows on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. When do the best of groups get judged? When does the show get completed with picking best in show?
So I'm hoping that we'll still be wrapping everything up, by around 4 o'clock on Saturday, since it's the first time we're doing 2 all-breed shows. It's going to be interesting. One of the things that we do at PaSRBA that can be a little bit intimidating if it's your first time showing there is our larger breeds. So our Netherland Dwarfs, our Mini Rex, some of those larger ones, Dutch, huge. We're actually a really big Dutch show as well. They sort of show simultaneously on 2 tables. That won't be changing. Judges like to get those big breeds done first. So we want to make sure that we get all those big breeds done, early in the day. So we are still hoping to be able to wrap up, around by 4 o'clock with all of our groups and then our best of breeds for both open and youth and KVs as well. We hope to have that all wrapped up.
Awesome.
We do live stream our best in show. We don't do the groups. There's just too many and they usually go on simultaneously. So it's hard to grab them, but we do live stream our best in shows. So if you're not able to make it, or you want to go, cheer on your favorite breed or see who's watching around the table and who might have got there, you can jump on the Pennsylvania State Rabbit Breeders Association Facebook page, and we'll be live streaming those.
Awesome. So that leads me to my next question of how many years has PaSRBA been happening?
So the first PaSRBA convention was in 1992. PaSRBA, historically was actually started as the commodity so they could bring rabbits into the farm show. So they actually crowned their first king in 1991 and then had their first convention, king and queen in 1991, had their first convention in 1992. So it's been a couple years.
That's neat. For a family coming to PaSRBA for the first time and exhibiting, what are a couple of tips that you would have to help make it a great experience for them?
Well, first, I know that when you go in, it can be very overwhelming because it's a lot happening. And I have a great superintendent team that makes it look like really easy and that everything's good. But, we're trying to get a lot of rabbits judged and we're trying to keep things moving. So first, just exhale, because everybody's had their first PaSRBA convention, and even some people that maybe have shown a couple times, they go there and it's just a little bit of a different ball game. In the showroom, our superintendent staff, they all have clipboards with their last name and really large letters on it. So if you're trying to understand something, grab a superintendent. I have the best superintendent staff, and they are, just wonderful in helping and answering questions. When you get there, the showroom opens at 3 o'clock on Friday, and we should have the breeds posted up on the table. So you're going to want to find an area close to your breed, and you can, sort of set up, your rabbits on. We have tables for everyone, so you can set up your rabbits, find it, and then just sort of, get used to, the different things. And, it does move fast, but in in your free moments, again, like you said, there are so many breeders, so it's just such a great place to take a breath. And when you're not showing, connect and meet with, some other, wonderful breeders of your breed, or maybe a breed you're interested in, because there'll be somebody for every breed there that weekend.
Yeah, it's over the last couple of years, we definitely have learned to embrace that. They are special moments that we get to spend in the hobby, and getting to visit with other people that enjoy breeding rabbits. So I totally get that and can relate. For you personally, this is your second PaSRBA convention as the general chair. I'm curious, how do you prepare for running this event different than you do for local shows that you're in charge of?
Well, I think any show takes a village, but I think PaSRBA takes more of a country rather than just a village. It's such a different, you think that running a local show really could prepare you for running something, the size and scope of the PaSRBA convention. And it doesn't. Where I was really fortunate is, Brian and Ruth Ann Bell ran that convention for many years. Getting to work alongside of them is like taking a master class in how a rabbit show should be run. So I am grateful that I had them, and they're still there to, help and mentor and, give me a hard time about things, which is wonderful. But, I learned so much from them because there's just so many things you don't think about and so many things you have to take into account when you're renting these larger spaces, when you have to, rent different types of equipment and, something as simple as, okay, you're going to be charged for the electric that you use. And there's just little things like that you just don't do on the local show level. So I have lots of checklists, and I lean a lot on my team, and that's how I can sort of make it through a little bit with my sanity.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I know that having those superintendents in each one of the specific rooms is a huge help for exhibitors and judges, to help move the show along, and they're a huge reason why your guys' show runs so smoothly.
It is, and what I think is really fortunate when I look at the superintendent team this year is every single member of the superintendent team was a youth member who came up through the ranks of PaSRBA, with the exception of one who's actually a superintendent in training, if you will, and is still a youth member. So, these are people that just really have, a long, tenure, with going to the show. Two of us actually have children who show now. So we have like the second generation, showmen. But I mean, I'm just fortunate that we have a great core superintendent team that works so well together. I'm grateful for them. Tori Perry, who a lot of people know, is an absolute rock star on the secretary side. And she runs the secretary side of everything. And again, complete rock star team there with, decades of experience, running shows. And I know it's special for her. She gets to work alongside her mom, LJ, who everybody that comes to PaSRBA knows and gets excited to see. We have, the Kolbs, who's a great family. Again, decades of, working, in this show. So when you have, that much experience and people with that much passion, it just makes such a huge difference in being able to run the show smoothly.
Agreed. Let's focus on the youth contest and the youth aspect of the show. Who can compete in those contests?
So for the youth contests, the entries have closed. Those entries close on January 1st. And overall, youth contests are, you're able to compete if you are a principal or an associate member of PaSRBA. Associate is somebody who does not live in the state of Pennsylvania. For our royalty court, you have to be a principal member, which means you have to live in the state of Pennsylvania. So there's a great group. If you go to the Pennsylvania State Royalty page, we've started promoting the wonderful kids who are running for our royalty court this year. And we do have an arts and crafts contest, and there's actually an adult, for youth and adults. And that's actually day of show entry. So if you go to the PaSRBA website or the catalog, we've been revamping it, working on, bringing in things like digital art and some different things that, people are involved with today. So you can still enter that part of it. And if you're interested in the youth contests, I would definitely recommend coming into sort of, checking it out, because we do have, a very competitive youth program that's really wonderful. And those kids in a short amount of time on Friday night, they do a lot of competing. They are all very tired by the end of the evening.
So yeah, if you were a family that was looking to get involved for next year's show, it's a great way to learn by going there this year, and to see what the contests are like to begin preparing for next year.
Absolutely. And of course, we'll be crowning another court. So on Sunday, you'll see them in sashes and crowns. So go talk to them, because those are, I think that our youth are our greatest asset, and they're always so passionate. And I know willing to talk to anyone, about the contests and how to get involved.
Awesome. you had said there at the banquet, you guys crown the royalty court. What else happens at the banquet, and like what other awards are announced?
So we actually start off the banquet, with some introductions, and we do the Distinguished Service Award. And I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but there's actually a very special tie-in with our Distinguished Service Award this year. So you'll have to watch our banquet live stream to hear all about that. I get to give out that award, so I'm extra excited, about sort of what's happening with that this year. So we give out Distinguished Service Awards. We also there's a Hall of Fame for PaSRBA, and that group will, sometimes, and I believe they are this year, inducting a new member into the Hall of Fame. I enjoy that because I like listening to the description, seeing if I can, looking around and looking for the reaction to figure out who that may be. So, we do those things. And then there's also presentations that are given by our youth members. One of the parts of the King and Queen contest or an individual contest for our senior members is actually a presentation contest. So the top 2 presentations are actually given. So you get to see, what they did and, learn a little bit about rabbits while you're there. And then after that, we go to what you would traditionally see, at the youth banquet at convention. They do all of the individual awards. And then, we end the night with crowning our next court. So it's an exciting night. And I know that I'm biased, but I don't think you're going to find banquet food better than what we have. Our banquet team does like an amazing job, with the food.
If somebody still wants to get tickets for that, are they still available?
They are. You can actually order them, in the PaSRBA store at pasrba.org. And the deadline for those are actually January 26th. So there's plenty of time to get, banquet tickets. And for those who haven't been there, there's an ice cream machine. Just saying, does not get any better than an ice cream machine.
One of the I'm changing the topic a little bit, but you guys have a rabbit hopping contest there at your event. For people that have never seen those before, what is it?
So rabbit hopping, it's an agility course for rabbits. So they have a team competition and they have some individual competitions and with some different courses. That happens on Sunday. The start time's usually like about 9 o'clock because it takes them a little bit of time to get set up and everything. And, you'll see some of the best hoppers will bring their rabbits out and, compete there. It's judged on, faults and then speed. So you want clean passes through the course. And then for everybody that's clean, they look at which, handler and rabbit did it the quickest. So that's up. That'll be up sort of in our like youth area where the banquet is. So if people want to go, check it out and learn a little bit about hopping, that's where that'll be.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that it's something that not necessarily is done at every show, so it's a unique aspect of PaSRBA.
And I believe now I know that there's been a lot of different events, so if I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that PaSRBA is the largest hopping event in the country. That other shows don't have the amount of hoppers that we're able to get. We actually, when the Super Bowl was on PaSRBA Sunday, we used to call it the Super Bowl of rabbit hopping, just sort of a fun tie in there.
I like it. One of the special parts of PaSRBA is the vendors and the various things that people can purchase. Can we just in general talk about the different things that would be available for somebody looking to buy some items or services in the rabbit industry?
Absolutely. So first, Pointer Hill, longtime platinum sponsor of our event, will be our exclusive, sort of cage dealer and have all of your rabbit equipment. They do a wonderful job, great products. So they will be there. They're the centerpiece of the vendor room. Another one of our sponsors, Hop in a Stitch. One of the cool things they're doing this year is they're going to have some stuff they can actually do custom keychains while you wait. So you can get those made, and they have a ton of custom products as well. And then we have everything else. It's such a great, I always find 5 minutes to go shopping because we just have such a variety of things. We have embroidery places. We have alpaca fiber and alpaca products. there's a fudge guy, and the fudge is great. So you can pick that up. Of course, there's T-shirts and different items, different types of gift items that you can, there's really a variety. There's a vendor that's coming. They're going to have some of the, I believe they're called like the freshies, and then they're going to have some jewelry there available. So there's really, a little bit of everything. Last year, we started this last year, and we're going to do it again this year. There's a local company to the eastern part of the state called Eric and Christopher, and they have some beautiful rabbit pillows and this year tote bags. They set up a booth, and it's actually a benefit for our youth scholarship program. So you can go and pick up some items and get some great gifts there, and then that money goes in. Proceeds from that go to our scholarship program. And of course, you need your PaSRBA merchandise, and you can get that, as well. We're going to have some new T-shirts and some new things this year, so we're really excited to have those items available. So there's really a little bit of everything. You can get some good shopping done, walking through our vendor room and picking things up here and there.
Yeah, that vendor room is really neat to get to see, and I think all the vendors are listed inside the catalog as well.
Most of them are. We've had some late additions. You have to get the catalog done early, and then we've added some. So over the weekend, we're actually going to be posting photos in our official event page, which is PaSRBA Convention 2023 official. And we're going to have some pictures from our vendors of some of the items that are going to be available, so people can start making their shopping list.
Awesome. I'm going to go to more of the questions that have came in while we've been talking. If you do have questions, please add them into the comments, and we will try to do as many as we can. This one is more of a comment. It's not a question, but about the banquet. The banquet is wonderful there. So
yes, it is. So everybody come see how wonderful the banquet is.
I know I've been there myself, and it is a really nicely put together banquet. Okay, going to entries. Are we supposed to check in somewhere, or do we just put our rabbits in the coops? So, right. Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you address it.
So you exhibitors do have the ability to rent coops for the weekend. The deadline for renting coops, again, that can be found in our PaSRBA store at PaSRBA.org, is January 24th. When you check in, there will be, when you show up, if you have reserved coops, they will actually be sort of labeled, and you'll be able to go to the cooping area and see where your coops are. So you'll be able to just coop their rabbits. Because we're doing everything, with pre-entry, and there's no changes for day of show, you don't actually, need to check in. Please go tell our awesome secretary, staff, and volunteers hi, but there isn't really a check-in process. So go into the showroom, find a place near your breed, a place near your friend's breed, wherever you decide to go. And then you can just either coop your rabbits if you've rented a coop, or, use our provided tables to, stage your animals.
Awesome. Along that same line of, their question was, are the youth still in a separate hall, then open? So bigger picture, like how do they know where to go when they're there as well?
So, like I said earlier, because we're doing pre-entry, we do make room adjustments once we see the numbers, which is one of the advantages that we have to pre-entries. So what we will do is, once I get the numbers and I come up with this is where everything's going to be, we're going to post that on our Facebook page. We start setting up at 8 a.m. and the showroom opens at 3. So if you check around lunchtime, we should have, is where youth is going to be, where open's going to be, or any, exceptions. So that's how we'll know. And it's just a really good way for us to really balance and make sure that we have enough space for everybody, because space can be, an issue in our facility.
Awesome. This is the last comment or question that I see on the board. So it's more of a comment from Kayla, but any youth interested in competition should definitely come check it out on Friday night. it shows what to expect if you want to compete there in the future. And I know that the PaSRBA Royalty Court is extremely competitive. They always do an incredible job at the national level as well. So, but they're always really good about teaching and making sure that their youth have the resources and the knowledge there to be able to be competitive. So yeah, check it out. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and Kayla's actually mom to our current, for a couple more weeks, current Duchess. And so, definitely, her daughter, it would be a great, resource if somebody wants to find out some information. So Emma, I'm volunteering you. So there you go. But really, any of the members of the courts or any of the kids that do the youth contests, they're just always so excited and so gracious. And it's really, it's a competition, and you're right, it's a very competitive competition. We definitely have some of the strongest kids in the country, but they're a family too, and they encourage each other. And that's what I think is so wonderful, is they can go and they can be competitive, but then they're just so happy and encouraging to each other. It's really, something that you may not see, in other, competitions or industries. But I think the rabbit world is special in that regard.
I agree. With that, it wraps up the questions that we have. I appreciate your time, Michelle, and I look forward to seeing a successful PaSRBA convention.
Well, no, thank you for having me. If anybody does have any questions, feel free. You can message our, PaSRBA Facebook page. We try to be as responsive as we can. Of course, everybody on the team is volunteer. Nobody that gets to do this is their job. I think having a job where you run rabbit shows would be the best job ever. But we all have, jobs, and we're all volunteers. We're competing and, watching our kids compete and doing all these things alongside. So, we try to answer questions as quickly as we can. And we're just really excited, to have another great PaSRBA convention. And we look forward to seeing everyone there.
Sounds great. Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Thank you.